What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Talking to the Doll Benfica podcast. It just went live. What's going on, everybody? Here we go.
Check.
It's on like Donkey Kong. We were experiencing a little bit of technical difficulties, so we just wanted to make sure that we're on. We're here. As usual, every week tonight on a Wednesday, so we could cover Benfica's game against Kiev that happened yesterday. Also on the podcast, on the menu, I should say, it's a recap of Kiev, as I mentioned, and also a recap of the Passos Ferreira game, and a big preview of the Porto game that comes up this weekend. With me tonight, Steve Santos, all the way from Toronto.
All the way, far away from a faraway land. How's it going, everybody?
And Cristiano Oliveira.
What's going on, everybody?
Sporting his retro Eusebio warm-up.
He gave me this couple days before he passed away. This was a gift.
Was it game worn?
No. This was just bench warm on the bench.
Anyway, we got a great show for you tonight. Thank you, all of you guys that are tuning in. As I've said, we're going to run through these things and hopefully get a very good and entertaining podcast for everyone that's listening and watching us live, all 6 of you watching us live.
And if you got questions, Benfica podcast hashtag, ladies and gentlemen, we try our best to answer all your questions, as long as they're smart questions. If they're dumb, we're just going to ignore them.
Yeah.
Just saying.
You thought... Anyway. All right, so let's get this started. Benfica played Passos Ferreira this past Friday. Benfica brought forward the game, obviously, so they could get the rest in for the Champions League. They played Passos Ferreira at the Luz. I'll give you the lineup real quick. We had... I'm on the wrong page. I'm sorry. I got the wrong page.
I hope you're not on the Zenit
Anderson,
page.
Nelson Semedo, Luisao, Lindelof,
Eliseu,
Faces, Pizzi, Salvio, Servi, Guedes, and Mitroglou. There you go.
Deixa isso para os Steve. Isso não é para ti.
You couldn't find his notes. I did it off the top of my head. Not too bad for
you.
him.
Almost stumbled on the left back.
Yeah, as soon as you got the La Masia product, he was like, I stumbled.
Did he play? Did he not play? Did he play? Did he not play? Anyway, so basically, from what I understand, Grimaldo suffered a little bit of a knock. He actually came back from the national team with a little bit of muscular injury, and I think that Rui Vitoria just took some precautions as far as saving him and not pushing him. So I think Eliseu, he's been a good professional, so he deserves a little bit of some time on the field. I read on Twitter that he was against Passos Ferreira, perhaps their worst player.
Easily. He lost the ball more in the first 20 minutes than Grimaldo's probably lost it the whole first 9 or 10 games that he's played in. So it's bad.
Yeah. So let's get right into the game. And Steve, one thing that I was very surprised was with the way Passos Ferreira came to the Luz. And I think this is something that's recent with the medium to little teams, that they're no longer coming to Estadio da Luz just to park the bus and to defend in their own half. They're kind of trying to play Benfica step for step and then perhaps go on a counter to take advantage of the higher position on the backs. But are you surprised at all that little teams are taking this approach?
I think you got to commend them for their bravery. You got to think that they're going to lose regardless, or they got to think they're going to lose regardless if they sit 11 guys behind the ball or if they try to play a little bit of football themselves. As a fan of Benfica, I much prefer that they go out and try to play football, because that leaves them a little bit more exposed, and you can almost say it's a little bit naive of them. But it's an approach that it's easier on the eye, nicer to watch. But as a Benfica fan, you prefer that they do that, because it's less stressful. If you have the guys that if they sit 11 guys behind the ball and they frustrate and it's the 60th minute and it's still 0-0, you're under a lot more stress or pressure as a fan and even as a player than if the game's a little bit more open and you're allowing more 1v1 situations, a little bit more space in between lines. When that happens with the better players that Benfica has, we're always going to be a little bit more comfortable. than the games where the teams decide to park the bus.
Yeah. And Chris, do you feel that perhaps the way that Rui Vitoria has this team, that this team is a lot more patient than in years past with JJ?
Oh, man, I could get real critical here, but I'm going to try my best.
Get critical, Chris. Get critical.
It's not even critical being critical on Rui Vitoria. I think it's a conversation we've had offline and via text message. I think that the league as a whole, from 4, 5, 5th place down to 18th, whatever it is now at this point, it's gotten really weak over the years. I don't think the level of play is the same that we've seen in years past. And Rui Vitoria could throw, the three of us out there with the remaining regulars on Benfica, and we'll find a way to pull away with a three.
Peraí, com Steve. With Steve on?
Até
não, take a jab at the Canadian.
Caginga que eu tenho.
Não,
E
isso é
a ginga
verdade.
que eu vou trazer ao jogo.
Isso é
Até o
verdade.
Steve, eu não passo a bola a ninguém, então o Steve não se preocupa em jogar, não se preocupa. Mas I think that Rui Vitoria is done a good job managing his players. He's done a tremendous job keeping everyone motivated and ready to play at all times. I think that's the biggest compliment that I could pay Rui Vitoria, in spite of all the records that he's obviously breaking and setting. But to me, the fact that no matter who he plugs in at this point, everyone is always ready to play. I think it's something that we could definitely commend this guy on.
Yeah, Steve, why do you think that is? You think that he has an equal
management
opportunity to every player? Yeah.
I just really think he's got a very good connection with his players, where he doesn't really leave them out to dry. He really knows how to instill confidence in them. It's not about his super detailed approach tactically or with all the different variables and phases that you may see in a game. It's not that he has a very specific criteria that each player should know exactly what he's supposed to do in every situation. It's more that he goes out there and he tells you that he believes in you. I feel, anyway. I'm not privy to this type of information, but that's what I think he's able to do. He really has a very united squad. He's got 23, 24 guys that really believe in him in a way that they get along with him. They understand that he understands them, where we always go back to the extreme opposite of our older coach, our previous coach, where he was the complete opposite. It was always, when a player slotted in, it was because he knew what all the different variables were and where he had to do what he had to do, where he had to be. And JJ made that the important part, and his system was the important part, and it was the reason why everything worked.
Steve,
where Rui Vitoria, it seems like the players are why everything works, and Rui Vitoria will allow them to flourish and allow them to believe that they're the reason why it's working, not because of their system.
If you just read
or his system.
If you just read or listen to an interview of Grimaldo, I believe it was last week or so, a week and a half, exactly. And that's exactly what Grimaldo said. He said that, it's not so much that the players believe in Vitoria, is that they believe in themselves, because Vitoria instills that confidence in them. He keeps these guys ready. He tells them that no matter your stature on this club, no matter how big your salary is, no matter your tenure, your seniority on the team, if you're putting out in practice and you're giving it 110%, you're going to play. And I think that's the biggest thing with the players is, they all believe in themselves, because when they go out there and they perform and they bust their tails at practice, Steve, comes to game day, it's not just music. They get to play. And so when they see this, that trickles down the line from the biggest stars to the young kids. And they're like, wait, if I give it my best, no matter what, I'm going to play with this guy. And I think it's a belief in themselves.
Yeah.
I think that's the most important thing here.
Yeah, I think that, and I think that ties into the team being patient. And also, I think there's a comment here from, I believe it's Paul, and forgive me if I got your name incorrect, PSHQET, at HQET on Twitter. He's saying that Rui Vitoria has a knack. Rui Vitoria's knack is calming effect. Steve, how much do you think the fact that players are on the field or off the field on the bench and they're looking at Rui Vitoria, and Rui Vitoria doesn't have that exuberant personality, that personality that looks like he's just about to blow his top. How much do you think of Rui Vitoria's behavior on the sidelines is something that is beneficial to the players on the field?
He's not the most calm coach I've ever seen. He still has his moments where he throws his hands up in the air, where he screams at his players. He's not really serene and calm. He's got enough bite to him though, where I think that he doesn't allow the players to lull themselves into a very relaxed state. So that's where I'm going. That's what I see. I don't see it as a very. There is a vast difference between him and JJ and the constant screaming at the sidelines, but he's got just enough of that bite that keeps them on their toes, I think, and that's probably what it's just the right amount of it where it's not overpowering.
Cristiano, what's your experience?
Let's be fair. Let's be fair about something though.
What's your experience though? You played a little bit, right?
Okay, but we can't tell a person's true colors when everything is roses. I mean, the guy's lost 2 games in the last calendar year. But I'm not discrediting Steve.
But even JJ winning, it's the same approach.
No, I know, but I'm not discrediting what you're saying. That's why I'm just making a point that I agree with everything you said, but I'm also adding in there, okay, that it's easy to have that calm demeanor about you. I mean, you lost 2 games, 3 games in the last calendar year since November.
I mean, you got to give him credit.
No. But again, it's not about giving them credit, not giving them credit. I'm just saying that's why you see that calming presence.
Yeah.
I mean, when things go wrong, when your backup is against the wall, that's when we see your true colors. So right now, to his credit, everything because of his style, because of his man management, everything's coming out rose. Everything is perfect.
Last year at this time,
let's give him the credit that last year at this time,
his back was against the wall.
I said in the last calendar year.
Yes, guys, with the technicality.
It is a technicality.
No, but just to show what he's like when the things aren't going against his way, he's never really changed his attitude. He's never really changed his approach to press conferences, the way he looks on the side of the field. Nothing's really changed.
Well,
I don't think
when things were going rough.
I understand
where you're going.
Not saying that you're
during
wrong.
the calendar year.
I'm not saying that his demeanor will change. Pay attention to what I'm saying.
It's easier when things are going well to be calm.
Absolutely. Winning cures all. You know, Carrillo right now can sit on the bench, and if he goes out there and wins 2-0, 1-0, keeps piling wins, Carrillo's got no beef. You know what I mean? And when these guys, you know, the guys that were brought in to add to this year's team, when the team is winning, you got no gripe. You got to just shut up and keep it moving, bro. Keep busting your tail. Keep working as hard as you can to try to crack that starting 11. Yeah. Now, if things start spiraling out of control, dude, believe it. These players aren't going to be there with smiling, taking pictures all of one another, posting it all over social media because none of them will be happy. Right now, it's just like, yo, it is what it is. I got to keep moving. Everything's working. And that's my point. That's all I'm saying.
Cristiano, but let me ask you a question. And you played a little bit of ball, more than probably Steve and I have played. As somebody that's on the field, how much does it influence that the coach is going absolutely berserk on the sideline, or he's totally calm even though that things are not going well on the field?
A lot of times, dude, be honest, you're focusing in on the game, and some of the best games I've had, believe it or not, after the game, I question, I'm like, what the hell happened there? Because I don't remember anything else. I don't even recall people on the side. It was just so constant, so focused on the game. You try to tune all the noise out, including your coach, because you're so focused on what you're trying to do. But when you have one of those kamikaze coaches that doesn't shut up and he's always been, what he does is he gets not just your head, but he starts yelling at the referee. He starts influencing the game in other aspects. All of a sudden, your time and everything that you're focused in on, that everything your objectives going into the game, all of a sudden that's out of whack because now you start, you're hearing your coach bitch and complain, and now you start bitching and complaining, and your whole attitude changes. So I mean, it does affect. Yeah. But a lot of the times you go into the pitch and you just focus, man, and you're not even paying attention to what's going on around you.
I get that, but I think that that could be distracting for somebody.
Yeah, it could.
Especially if you're not having a good game.
And especially youngsters. Because the veterans, they've been through it. But the youngsters.
Yeah, especially if you're not having a good game and you're trying to get your head into the game by having this other noise, it's something that affects your focus for sure. But getting back into the game, Goncalo Guedes with an absolute blast in the 26th minute. Cristiano, do you think that other goalies saved that ball? Or you think it's just too hard?
No, it was a hard shot, and it was coming from his right foot, and it kind of bent the opposite way towards the near post. But listen, nice job by the kid. Obviously, the kid's got a lot more confidence. I like to see him play that. I like to see when he goes out and he takes his chances more than we've seen him in other times where we've criticized him on the podcast that he's not making the right decision. He's passive. Yeah. And, he's done that. In both games this week, he's done that. He took it upon himself to try to get his opportunity on goal. But the goalie was like, I don't know what the
cuidado.
The goalie kind of like moved his body. Yeah, it was kind of like one of those. But hey, good job by Guedes, and he's definitely picked up his play.
Yeah, the biggest thing for me, Steve, that I've noticed about Guedes is he beefed up. He definitely beefed up. He looks a lot stronger on the ball. He's very fast. And I think that he's hitting his stride. He's feeling confident that he's playing. Perhaps at the time, on the beginning of the season, he said, well, the position that I really feel comfortable is
he got a raise in the offseason, right?
Well,
agora não é só arroz e feijão.
But he's admitted, and recently he said that his favorite position is Jonas's position. So maybe now that he's finally getting the games and he's getting the repetitions, he's getting to that groove, he's feeling confident. I mean, one sign of his confidence is that shot he takes against Kiev, from no meio da rua, and he just blasts the crossbar. But what is your feelings on Guedes' evolution during this beginning of the season?
I think the key word is confidence. I mean, with Jonas being out, he's getting a lot of time to learn on the job, as you say, but also build confidence as each game goes by. Yeah. As each game goes by, he adds something else to his game where you could see he's improved on something, where you could see, like you say, he looks a lot bigger and stronger and faster. I don't know about bigger, but definitely stronger and faster. The kid looks very hard to get off the ball. His positioning is getting a lot better. I mean, both defensively and offensively. He's picking up the ball in a lot more smart areas. His movement to get into space and knowing when to really stretch the opponent towards the flanks or when to try to get them more vertically. It seems like that's something he's learned a lot within the past 7-8 games, whenever it's been since Jonas has been gone. The whole thing about that being his preferred position, I didn't read that, but I could definitely see that he seems a lot more comfortable picking the ball up in the middle of the pitch and running at people than he does in tight quarters, that he'd sometimes find himself on the flank, or even earlier in the season, it seemed like he wasn't positioning himself in such a way where he would pick up the ball in space so that he could run with it. He was positioning himself in such a way where he was too on top of the defenders, and he didn't have that space to really get in motion, which seems to be his greatest tool right now, is that way that he runs at you and uses his power to basically get past you instead of the intricate feet that you would expect, not really expect, what that other players have.
What he's gone is quicker with the ball at his feet. I said it here, if you guys recall, after the Tondela game that I was lucky enough to be there live, and I seen him with the ball. I said, the guy, he's looked like he was taking one touch too many. In the first couple of games of the season, he was taking one touch too much. Yes, he was tripping on his own feet. And even in that game, I said Benfica picked up things in the second half once he kind of went out to the right side. Because like I've mentioned before, it's a lot easier to play on the wings at times because you don't have that big confusion with a lot of players in the middle, defenders. And it's easy to just take a guy on one-on-one, especially with his speed. But he's obviously turned the corner. He's picked up the ball now. He's not just quick, off the ball, but he's quick with the ball at his feet. He seems to be making the right decision more often than not. And again, he said this week, like Steve mentioned, this role is his favorite role. You mentioned it because it's like you said. I have a free role to roam.
He roams. He works.
And anyone. And I never worked that way defensively.
He works.
But you love the freedom that just do what you want to do, go left, go right. You're always in a position to get the ball, and that's exactly, rather than just being pegged or, you have a responsibility on one corridor or the other. This is more of a free run, and again, anyone that likes to play ball, that's attacking style of ball, loves that position.
Yeah, and Cristiano, we recently saw this week a little buzz about both Valencia and Athletic Madrid being interested in Goncalo Guedes. What do you think? As a player, do you make this jump right now?
You have to take all things into account, man. I mean, let's be honest. Would he be getting this chance if, Jonas wasn't injured, if the 4 strikers weren't injured? Would he be getting as much playing time as he is now? You got to take that into consideration. Is he going to lose playing time once Rafa and Jonas get back into the fold? These are all things that you have to weigh. And, I mean, that only Rui Vitoria and himself and the president, they have to sit down, the 3 of them. And if it's going to be, look, you're going to play in Taça games, you're going to be a substitute because I have to get these other 2 guys in the starting 11. And right now, I don't think there's anyone that would really make an argument against inserting these guys into starting 11. So it's going to be a decision based on his. Is he okay with sitting on the bench and developing and hoping to get his chance? Or does he just want the playing time now and also the pay raise? Let's not forget, because at the end of the day, these guys play for money.
It's not a guarantee that he's going to play at Valencia or Athletic.
But if you're going to sit the bench, right?
I would say at Benfica.
No, see,
are you going to go make the money?
That's right.
Sit at the bench and make the money.
If you're going to sit the bench and make 1,000, or sit the bench and make 25,000, I'm going to go make 25,000 because at the end of the day, I'm going to sit the bench.
Here's my thing. I don't think he sits the bench when those guys come back. I really don't. I think Mitroglou has a bigger worry over his head about losing his spot than Guedes does at this moment.
Mitroglou is in a short leash. I
Bro,
think.
you have to understand one thing about Mitroglou, man. Mitroglou is at his best when Jonas, another guy that can play all.
I'm not saying that.
And Guedes is not that type of player. So Mitroglou right now is just out on the island on his own a lot of times. And yes, I agree. I know what you're gonna say because I've said it. The few chances he does get, he spoils them. I'll grant you that.
He's got to get back on that track.
But I think when because Jonas is more, is more of a playmaker. I think Guedes is more physical. All right, Jonas is more of a playmaker. I think Jonas will find a way to get him involved, and not just that. Teams double team Jonas and leave Mitroglou.
You think so?
Yeah, absolutely. You don't think
so? Just think
Mitroglou is a lot easier to mark, dude.
That's my point.
So why would
people concentrate more on Jonas? Because Jonas will have bigger effect. Mitroglou, if you don't get the ball,
but you're going to double mark a guy that's mobile.
Absolutely,
he's going to pull you out of position.
Listen, if I'm coaching a team and you tell me you're gonna have to man mark one of these guys, Mitroglou or Jonas. It's Jonas all day. I mean, it's not even a question.
Thank God you don't coach teams anymore, and man marking is basically out the window.
I said if.
Steve, I know that you and I traded some texts, and you actually said that out of all the games that you've seen Benfica play this year, this was perhaps the more complete, more concise, more consistent game for Benfica. Tell us, what things did you see that you liked?
I think things that we're doing off the ball are really facilitating when we do have the ball. The way we're pressuring after losing the ball, so the way we react to losing it is phenomenal right now. I mean, Guedes is a big part of this. Fesa, sadly, we know what happened with him, is huge, as well as he has that knack of really anticipating play and keeping teams pinned in because he wins the ball before they're able to get out. So just the way that we're not allowing the other team to come back at us is a huge key for us. The other thing is the off the ball movement in attack, I think, has gotten substantially better. I don't want to find a multiple on how many times better, but it is like night and day from when we started the season, and you saw a lot of players standing around the Salvius, even the new guy Servi, everyone was more static, and now we have ball carrier, whether it's Pizzi, whether it's Grimaldo, whether it's Servi himself, with always an option ahead of him, whether it's a Mitroglou in a more static position, if it's Guedes bursting into space, they'll have an option laterally, whether it's a number 8 in Pizzi offering himself, or If Pizzi has the ball, it's going to be Grimaldo on the overlap. I think there's a lot more movement off the ball than when we did 3-4 games ago. That's not even that long ago. The movement on the ball is a lot better. Off the ball is a lot better.
But I guess you could chalk it up to the team has learned the routines and the movement that come with the routines. No?
There is that. There's players also involved that I think kind of force those things into happening. You look at, in comparison from last year, we had right and left back Andre Almeida, more stay at home, more simple player. Left back, you had Luisao, who in his day used to like a bomb down the flank, but doesn't have it in him anymore. So it was always a little bit more conservative approach. Now we have Semedo and Grimaldo. Two guys that are always willing to join in the attack, always willing to be an option for the ball carrier. That's two guys. Then you have now Pizzi at number 8, who is I'm not going to give him too much praise because I don't want to make Chris upset, but he knows very well where to be to receive the ball and how to play the ball so that the guy who receives it already has his next motion into play. There's a very good article on Lateral Esquerdo who posts a movement that he does with Lindelof in the Kiev game, just for proof of that. That, and you have the Patrão back. Luisao is back.
Yeah.
Who I believe has a very big influence on positioning the team when they are in an organized state. I'm not saying so much in defensive or offensive transition because that is done quickly. But when it's a more controlled attack or even a defensive phase where you're all set up and behind the ball, Luisao has a lot of say, I think, in who gets placed where.
I think that, the numbers don't lie, and ever since Luisao stepped into this lineup as a starter, Benfica has conceded less goals. They have not conceded any goals from a set piece, and defensively, the team looks a lot better. He also makes his partners look good. I read something somewhere that Luisao has helped Benfica sell a lot of center backs, and I think that's the truth. That's terrible.
I can't help but laugh, man. I mean, it's better laugh than sit here and start screaming.
Don't these lamen?
No, just rather not. I'd rather not be negative.
Anyway,
I mean, look, love Luisao. Absolutely love Luisao. Luisao will be
sorry, you got it.
Luisao will be one of those guys that every time, I mean, unless things change in the future, but when I look back at Benfica, he'll always be along with Humberto Coelho, along with Aldair, Ricardo. He'll be one of the guys. Yeah, I'll put him in a conversation with those guys. Okay, he'll be a club legend forever. But to sit here and say the guy, all of a sudden the team, numbers wise, you're right. I mean, but let's be honest, ladies.
Estás maluco, man. Tu não vês os jogos, pá.
Que jogos, man? Pá, jogou contra uma camada de monks, man. I mean, the one good team that Benfica played all year, the one good team, they lost 4-2. Let's be look. They've played a bunch of and you guys are all, screaming, going poetic about it.
I think you're over-modulating.
No, we'll see what happens this weekend against a very bad football club, Porto, which is nowhere near the all football.
We'll get into that.
And we'll get into Benfica. Come on, against Pasta Ferreira, against Belenenses, against Chaves, against Locomotive. No.
Hey, but we were
Dynamo Kiev.
Well, we were giving up the goals. Before Luisao came, we were giving up the goals.
And after Luisao came back after Napoli. Who have we played? That's my point. We haven't played anybody.
Doesn't matter. We haven't given up goals. Who did we play before Napoli?
We played a bunch of monkus. We played a bunch of monkus.
But we were giving up goals.
Let me explain. After the Napoli game, we've played a bunch of monkus. And I'll stand firm by that. I don't care who you put Rui Vitoria next to me, and I'll tell him. But once again, and we'll get into this Champions League game in a minute. Teams create opportunities against this Benfica. We'll get into that game a little. Teams create. They're just not any good. Benfica hasn't played anybody good since Napoli.
So you don't think it's a coincidence that ever since Luisao stepped on this 11, Benfica has given up less goals, and they look better in the process?
Is it a coincidence that they might be more organized in the back? No, because the guy's a true leader. We've known that.
So you agree to that?
I agree that he's. No, I'm not discrediting. I'm not taking anything away from Luisao.
Defending set pieces.
Dude, the guy's good on the air. But set pieces against a bunch of bums.
Come on, that's Maluk, man. Most of the little teams score goals on set pieces against big teams.
Let's talk a month.
Not running play.
December 14th. A gente já fala para semana. We'll talk. Let's see this run of games because this is going to be there up until this point will be the toughest part. You got Porto, you got Besiktas, a must-win game on the road. You got Sporting, and then again you got Napoli at home.
Yeah, vamos ver.
Let's see after that. Let's see if we're still sitting and chanting the same tune right now.
Yeah. You are watching the Benfica podcast being recorded live. This is, if you guys are tuning in, and I know probably there's a lot of first-time viewers for us. We do this every week. On either on Tuesday nights or on Wednesday nights. We're in the U.S. Steve is in Toronto. So for all of you new viewers that are watching us on YouTube, thank you very much for checking us out. Also, we're available on iTunes. You could download. But let's wrap up this Paços Ferreira game. Benfica gets the 3 points. A very, very good showing by Benfica. Built on the confidence that they've been building and the momentum going into a huge match this weekend. But before that, we had Kiev. Benfica hosted Kiev at Estadio da Luz this past Tuesday in a return fixture, if you will, where Benfica really had to win if they needed to keep on the hunt. They also had to win, and with the win, they secured a place in the Europa League. And I may add that Sporting also secured a place in the Europa League, but that's probably all they're going to secure. But
we're better than that. We're better than that.
I'll give you the lineup for the Kiev game. Ederson was in goal. Smith, Luisao, Lindelof, and Grimaldo across the back. Facing PC in the middle. Salvio and Servi on the wings, and again Guedes and Mitroglou were up front. Steve, looking at the game overall. Not a very good showing by Benfica. Effective. We score a goal before the half, heading into the locker room, and a very clear penalty. Luisao got brought down, and Salvi put the ball away. We go into the locker room in a decent position, but yet have not played a very good game up until the halftime.
No, we were struggling really to create chances. The play in between lines, the plays in the final third and in the creative areas of the pitch was missing that cutting edge. I mean, Servi made a lot of nice touches and moves, but on the final shot or the final pass was always really poor. Goncalo Guedes struggled at times anyway when there was, like we say before, less space and he didn't have the room to carry and run at players with pace. So we struggled to create chances, I think. It was a bit more of a pass and move, controlling type game than a game where we were going at their throats and creating chance after chance. I think if you have Pizzi in the midfield and not on the wing, you lose a little bit of that creativity that you would have further up the pitch because you have him more in the constructive phase and he's more trying to build the play instead of really adding that extra bit of flair to create chances. So it was a difficult match to get the upper hand. I mean, we got the goal from a set piece. We didn't really look like the much better side at any point in this match. At the same time, I don't think Dynamo Kiev created much on their own.
No.
Chris will always say that, yes, they created chances. Yeah, you have to create one or two chances or else what did you do that day? I mean, there's not many teams that are going to go out and not create a chance at all unless they're absolutely bombarded and they're on completely different levels. So they are going to create a chance or two, but they never looked too dangerous. I think Benfica did a very good job of controlling how Dynamo Kiev build up from the back. I don't think they have enough good players in that area of the pitch either that makes it a little bit easier for Benfica, but Benfica were very aware of when and who to press. I think their center backs are both a little bit suspect with the ball at their feet. Goncalo Guedes did a very good job of choosing the right time to attack the center back or the right time to cover the defensive midfielder and not allow him to receive the ball. You had a very high energy match from both Servi and Salvio that also disrupted the build-up phase. So it wasn't a match where we splashed beautiful paint on the canvas and made a masterpiece. That isn't what happened. It was more a worker's performance where you just did the job that you needed to do to stop the other team from creating. Sadly, we just didn't create as much on our own as well.
Benfica were on their heels for 95%.
Come on, their heels.
For the 95% of the second half. Okay.
Did you watch it?
I watched the game, and it goes back to my point, Steve. Like you said, right? You know, you're trying to come at me. Like they create their chances. Obviously, they have to create a couple. And that back to my point. They're not capitalizing because it's shit squads. That's my point. That's been my whole point. Benfica's looking great because these teams, the teams that do create, they choke. And you know what? Ederson came up with a beautiful, because right now we'd be talking about a disappointing 1-1 draw.
True that.
All right? Ederson came up. So don't come at me and say
that was a weak penalty too, if you ask me, though.
It was called. And I thought it was weak too, and I watched replay, and I think he caught his back leg.
Yeah,
he hold his leg there waiting for the contact, and he finally got it.
He
went down.
There's contact from Ederson's leg, not from his hands.
Not from his hands. When everybody's looking, with his back leg, he did catch him. And look, have I seen softer penalties given? Yeah. Have I seen tougher but not given? Did I like the call? No. But you know what I did like? I love the save. I love the save. So had he not saved that, Steve, you'd definitely be singing a different tune right now. Okay, that's number one. Benfica was never. So. We're talking about Dynamo Kiev. Yeah, you don't have to think so. I know so. You definitely be talking differently about. You'd be talking about a disappointing result. We're talking about a team that has one or two players, and then on top, they're one world class or anything close to world class. Didn't play. And on top of that, Benfica got dominated in possession in the second half. It's just like, I mean, what games are we watching? Were they ever under that constant pressure?
Heels,
oh, come on.
I don't think they were on the heels for 90
I don't think Benfica was under
the
heels.
90%.
90% of the second half. 90% of the second half is what
guys with the technicalities.
Wait, Steve, what did I say? Steve, what did I say?
You said 90% of the second half. But Chris, at that point, you got to play what the game is giving you. You're up 1-0.
You're up 1-0. The other team's got to come out. You wait.
The other team's got to come at you. You're struggling to create in the final third.
Yeah. You wait them out,
bro. We're like saying the same thing, just in different choruses. All right, you're singing over here. I'm singing over here on a different note, bro.
So you're saying it in a negative way, saying that we got destroyed, and I'm saying it in
bro. Look, you're saying that Benfica had to play the game that was dealt to them, right? And I'm saying that was dealt to them was the fact the team lesser and nowhere near Benfica's caliber, or should be at Benfica. They had the better possession, the better of chances, and if it was a better team, Benfica would have lost at least, at the very least, would have tied this game. And then you would be, and that's if Ederson doesn't make the save, what would the two of you be saying right now? It was a blown opportunity to gain the 3. Am I right or wrong?
You're right.
You would have been saying a disappointing 1-1 draw at the Estadio da Luz. Am I right or wrong?
You're right. I mean, we don't know what would have happened the rest of the game, but you do have a point. But I think, Chris, that Benfica has to approach the game based on what the game is needed, based on the moment that's needed. And I think that you go into the half having scored a goal on a Kiev that's, somewhat not capable or is not at the same level as you, or is not at the level that they could really bring the pain to Benfica. But you go into the locker room 1-0, you come out, and you know that Kiev now has to bring the game to you.
Bro,
so as an approach,
at home, dude.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But as your approach is, you try to control the game and you try to exploit anything that they might give to you as because of wanting to rush and getting a goal.
If that was Bayern Munich, 100%. No, we're talking about Dynamo Kiev. I mean, come on.
A win is a win.
A win is a win. Exactly. At the end of the day, I look like the idiot, and the win is a win. But we got a nice stretch coming up of games, and I hope I'm wrong. Look, I'm not saying I hope I'm wrong.
I'll agree with you there, Chris.
Because I'm not saying I'm wrong. I'm not saying I hope they lose. I mean, I still hope and think Benfica's going to win. I mean, let's take a game at a time. But what I'm saying is, if they do the same exact thing they've done up to now in this next stretch of games, then I'll really be. And then I can't say, you know what, they play a bunch of monkeys. That's all I'm saying. Because I never root against my team. But we got a nice stretch coming up.
Yeah. So Benfica gets their 100th win in the Champions League. I don't know if that has to do with the Taça dos Campeões Europeus previous format or not. I would think so. No, Steve? 100 wins?
100 wins sounds like it's pre-Champions League, I would think.
Pre-Champions League, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
so Benfica gets their 100th win
numbers, so.
in the Champions League, and the way
they're
that
they're the 17th to crack
the 7th team, yeah,
seventh.
That's
Seventh.
a nice stat.
17th to crack the and that goes back to the old school Champions League format, and now prior to 1991, whatever.
Yeah. So nice win for Benfica, and the way the table stands is Napoli has 7 points, Benfica have 5 points, Besiktas is with the same points as Benfica. And what?
Está errado, pá.
Está errado. Então viste mal, pá.
Tu
Kiev 1 point. Vê lá.
Benfica tem 7 pontos como o Napoli.
Oh, you're right. You're absolutely right.
I was gonna say, I think
Benfica has 7 points. I'm sorry. I thought they got deducted points for that bad half against Kiev.
Ah, pois eu sou um maluco aqui.
Anyway.
7-6-1.
7-6-1.
Sim.
All right, so I looked at maybe I looked at the wrong day, maybe. So anyway, now Benfica will play Besiktas in Turkey, and I've been saying this whole time. That's going to be the key game for whether or not Benfica advances. Because
when's that game? Is it Turkey Day here in the States?
I can tell you right now, the 23rd.
They play Turkey in the Turkey. Yeah,
that's
like
right.
A couple days
right around that time.
It's like Wednesday, and then Turkey Day is the next day, or something like that.
Don't sleep on it.
Yeah. Watch out with the stuff.
Anyway, so job done there, job done in the league, and now it comes up perhaps the most important of this early season, the most important game of this early season, a trip to the Dragão this Sunday, 6 p.m. local. Artur Soares Diaz is the ref nominated for this game.
Is that the former Benfica goalie?
No.
Okay.
And I'll give you some stats on what Porto has been doing so far, and they're obviously in second place with 20 points, 5 points behind Benfica. At home, 4 wins, no losses, no ties, so they're unbeaten at home. 10 goals scored, 1 goal allowed at home. So that's quite an impressive record for Porto at home. The last 5 at the Dragão for Benfica, 3 wins for Porto, 2 for Benfica. 2 of those wins actually came after one of those wins came after a PK shootout for the League Cup or the Portuguese Cup. Last 10 games head-to-head, 5 wins for Porto, 4 wins for Benfica, and 1 tie.
It's the only place Rui Vitoria is yet to win as a Benfica coach.
Well, I think he's yet to did he win in Alvalade?
Yeah, last year, 1-0.
Yeah, last year.
Yeah, you're right.
I'm always right. You guys just don't pay attention.
Yeah, except for the time you said 90% of the time they were on their heels.
Second half.
The second half. Sorry, the technicality. Sorry. So here's the thing, Steve. Benfica. Let's start discussing some of the motives and perhaps some of the thought process that goes through Vitoria's head and this team. Benfica goes into the Dragão with 5 points ahead of second place Porto. If they lose, Benfica stay as is. They go down to 2 points, obviously. Then they also have the head-to-head. Well, Porto will have the advantage because they beat Benfica. But what's the approach, Steve, for this game?
My idea is, like you said, regardless of what happens, we're gonna finish the match in first place. Whether or not we played a bunch of bunkus or not, we are in a confident mood right now. You can't argue that, Chris. There's definitely a lot of confidence within the squad. You have to try to go out and win the game early and try to put Porto in their place. That's my take on the way to do it, because everything's there. If you put Porto in their place now, you put a big psychological blow on them. I mean, they are within sniffing's distance, 5 points. They beat us. They're up to 2. If you put 8 points between us at this point, when they're still trying to iron out how they want to play, who their best 11 is, whether or not they have the Porto DNA like they should that they've lost over the past few years, if you between them now, I know it's early, but I think that will probably be enough to keep them out of the fight. I think there's enough turmoil at the club right now that if he were to do that, that would put them away. The whole thing for me is Fesa is
right. I forgot to mention Fesa did get hurt against Kiev. We'll give you a little update on the situation. Go ahead, Steve. I'll let you finish.
He's so important to what we're doing right now. I think everybody within the squad knows the value that he brings to the team, and having him out, I worry may put a little bit of doubt in the mind of our players. I would hope that I'm wrong. I would hope that they trust whoever Rui Vitoria decides to put in. I know that's a question that's out there a lot. I'm assuming it's going to be Samaris. But that's the one thing where might get into the psyche of the team, because if you look at it, Porto's got to try to go and win the game. They're going to come at us. They have a very direct style where they like to move the ball to the front line as quick and as early as possible. That may, given our recent defensive organization, may lead us to be able to hit them on the counter better than whether Porto had a little bit more of a controlled type of play where they are a bit more patient and wait us out and whatnot. I think that direct style may leave them open for some Goncalo Guedes running at them, for maybe a Servi or even a Grimaldo causing a mismatch on the left. I'm thinking their approach is also going to have a big say on what happens in this game, which it obviously should. There's two teams in it. Yeah. One thing just before we go on, I'm very curious to see who plays on the flanks for Porto. What approach they're going to have to control Semedo and Grimaldo. Whether they're going to have Brahimi and Corona and expect to pin them back because they have those attacking type of players on their flank, or if they're going to have maybe a little bit more cultured type player like what's that, Andre, or maybe even a Herrera or something like that.
Cristiano, if you're Rui Vitoria, what's your approach to this game? What are you telling your players for this game?
A couple of things. One, Porto heads into this game with the psychological advantage on Benfica because
why do you say that?
They're the one boogie team. Benfica's beating everybody else but Porto. So I think that'll come into play. But at the end of the day, I think the most important...
It's not last year's Porto.
That's fine, but the Benfica under Rui Vitoria still hasn't been able to beat them. And I think at the end of the day, Porto will have all the pressure on them to get the result from this because they are playing at home, because they are 5 points behind. And if Benfica comes out of there with a draw, I think they'll be happy. It's a good result. They're going out to an arch rival, come away with the draw. It's a good result. So I think Porto has the responsibility to come forward. And like Steve said, it's going to open up a lot of opportunities for the Guedes of the world, the Servis, even the Mitroglou to hopefully get in a position to counter and Benfica to put one behind the Casillas and if you come away with a 3-point victory. So,
all right. So
a 3-point victory. Jesus Christ. Come away with the 3 points.
A 3-point victory, yeah. That's style points included in that.
Field goal.
So the news on Fesa, there's yet the official word from Benfica on what the prognostic is from Fesa's injury. What we know is that he's been ruled out of the Porto game. I know that Benfica will then have a period of 13 games before the next game after Porto, if I'm not mistaken, if I looked that up correctly.
13 days?
13 days.
I thought you said games. I was like,
13 days.
You did say it. So 13 days.
13 days. Benfica will have a period of 13 days between Porto and their next game, which is against Marítimo for the Portuguese Cup. So aside from Fesa being out and him being the logical player that's going to be out, do you foresee Vitoria changing this setup, or you think he's just going to make change for change and keep what's working?
You mean pull a JJ and start playing center backs at defensive center?
Well, I mean, he went to São Paulo and he changed things up.
But that was a scrimmage, and I think he just
São Paulo.
Oh,
San Paulo.
San Paulo.
Yeah, I'm thinking about the game.
You're thinking the Santos game.
Yeah. That's what I'm sorry. I was going to say that's a scrimmage. Yeah, he did switch things up, which we didn't think he was going to do. But I think right now he's found the lineup that like I've said here plenty of times. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
But obviously it is broke. Feja is out. I don't think he'll invent. I think he'll just throw in some oddies and hope for the best, man.
Steve, do you foresee Vitoria touching a lot of sectors just to replace one player?
I hope not. There's no need for it, really. You don't like we said earlier. He's going to be the leader regardless of what happens in this match. He's got to approach the game with his own identity, with his own philosophy, and the way that the way things have been working. Why are you going to mess with it now? I mean, it's not like Porto have a very distinct style that we have to try to counter and play differently. I mean, we should be able to still play with Pizzi and Samaris in the middle. We should still see enough of the ball to cause them problems. I don't think they'll be able to build up from the back with Danilo and the center backs that they have that well and come down the middle with us like Napoli did and want to plug in the middle so much like we did versus Napoli. I personally think that you're going to see basically the same 11 that's been playing over and over again for the past 4 or 5 games minus Fesa. For me at this point, you got to ride what's working. You got to ride the confident mood that the team is in, and you don't tinker too much.
Yeah,
I would like to believe Rui Vitoria is in the same mind.
Yeah, because
I was just looking at the schedule to try to guess when we probably most likely see Feja back, and I thought Benfica played Napoli after the Sporting game, and apparently it's prior to the Sporting game. So,
before.
Yeah, I thought it was after actually. No. So I think you're probably going to see Feja that game against Marítimo December 2nd, just to get him in some rhythm prior to the Napoli game, because I think if it's serious,
injuries that minor that he'll be back so soon.
I think it's a 3 to 4 week injury.
You think so?
Yeah, I think it's just unless there's something
depending on the severity of the sprain.
If there's ligament issues, if it's a sprain, I agree. If there's ligaments, which I have to be honest with you, that looked like overextending to me.
I'm sticking with the sprain.
3 weeks?
Okay. I'm sticking 3 to 4 weeks. Now, if it's obviously more serious, you're looking at 6 months. But if
6 months for an ankle sprain,
no.
If it's ligaments, right?
For ligaments,
6 months, dude. Yeah, if it's ligament, if there's a
ligaments on your ankle,
absolutely, because the ankle is a very tough. Not just is it a very tough.
Let me call the doctor. See what he says.
Look, who's got an ankle injury right now? This guy.
So I don't know if I'd call that an ankle injury.
I'm actually going through therapy right now. I've been out for 6 months with
bunion problems. Don't count, bro.
Right. So I know a little bit about ankle injuries because again, my left also, just like his left, I'm going through them right now. So if it's just a sprain, he'll be out, 3 to 4 weeks. If it's some ligament, now it depends how bad it is, because the ankle is a very tough, part of the body to heal because you're constant pressure on it, weight, and then they say it makes more damage to actually go in and repair than it does to just let it heal because it's very so. Again, if it's ligament, he'll be out for a while. If it's just a sprain, he'll be back. And I think they'll give him a game to before the Napoli.
We have to wait until the official word from Benfica.
I'll be there soon. I'll speak to him
as to what the nature it is. As far as
I'll show him my ankle, and then he'll show me his ankle. We'll compare.
And you guys gonna hold hands and skip down the road?
Yeah, but he's got to have the two.
Hopefully they're holding hands.
As far as Jonas and Rafa goes, I did see Jonas distributing candy for trick-or-treaters over at where he lives, so maybe he's close to a comeback. Who knows? No word on Jonas or Rafa. I think Jardel, I don't know what's going on. I think that's probably the case that worries me the most is they haven't been able to get Jardel healthy.
You know what's crazy about Jardel?
But
we talked about this last week, right? But what's crazy about Jardel is Benfica just updated the Benfica Twitter account puts out their injury report, and they mention Jonas and Rafa, and there is no mention
maybe Jardel is ready to go.
But it's been like that for weeks. Every time they mention who's out injured, they don't even mention that Jardel's out injured.
Está encostado, se calhar, como o Júlio César. foi encostado.
Eu já disse semana passada. He didn't leave. I don't know if everything is rosy up in there. I don't know.
think there's
I don't
there's
know.
some kind of a conspiracy theory?
All I know is that he's not being convocado. All right. And the club's not mentioning him on their injury report, which means he's healthy.
All the papers keep mentioning him as injured. So yeah, who knows, man? Who knows?
Steve, with all due respect,
Espera aí, pá.
I don't care what the papers say. This is the Benfica themselves informing people.
Mas olha lá, if the papers are present on a training for the first 15 minutes of the training session, and if Jardel is not there warming up with the players, then they have reason enough to say that Jardel is in an injured list.
So then if ele está encostado, he's not practicing.
No, mas isso estava a brincar, man.
No, but I'm just but why isn't the
conspiracy?
Club, no, but Steve, am I right or wrong? Why isn't the club mentioning him?
I've seen that on a couple occasions.
Call your buddy Lems. Maybe he'll tell you.
And I on the same page as you earlier in the season, how he magically got injured and nothing was really made of it when it looked like I think it was Villarreal was the most serious contender for his signature.
I don't believe in that, man. I don't believe in that. I don't know,
man. So that
shit like that.
I don't know. I don't like to believe in it, but it's slightly fishy sounding.
Why, Steve? I'm not accusing. I'm not starting speculating. I'm just asking factual questions.
You're looking at the facts and you're
the club. I don't care about what the papers say. Honestly, when the club is putting out information, I don't care what the papers say because I'm going based on the official club word. And coming from the club.
Can't go by the papers.
There's two guys officially by the club. There's two guys that are injured. Jonas and Rafa.
What about Tarabt?
Tarabt anda a comer...
Tem dores de barriga, se calhar.
Anda a comer tripas. Anda lá todo lixado. But dude, I don't know, dude. It just leads me to a lot of speculation.
He might be on the men too. Is no longer on the clinic and is just slowly working himself.
Who's not?
Jardel. No longer part of the injury bulletin, but he's got a program to get back into shape and ready to play.
Could be.
There's definitely probably more than what we're being told in either direction. Conspiracy or just a more simple answer that I just gave you now.
Yeah, I have no reason to believe that there's a conspiracy or that Benfica encostou because the guy has always been the consummate professional throughout his career at Benfica. There's no reason why Benfica would do so or put him aside. I mean, something's going down. I think that I agree with Cristiano that there's a lot of questions.
It leaves the door open for speculation.
It does.
And as we've known and we've experienced this, I ask the tough questions. This is what I do.
Call your buddy Lems.
I ask
your buddy Lems what's going on with Jardel.
And if I was with anyone from the club right now, I'd be like, look, what's up with him? Because he's not on this. He's not on the injury report.
Yeah.
He's not practicing. Because, like you guys say, the media is there and they don't see him. So where is he?
Luckily, we have people that could come in.
Where's João Gomes? João Gomes, get on.
João Gomes, yeah, let's send João Gomes to the Caixa.
I'd send Pedri, but Pedri's in Australia. João Gomes, get on.
João Gomes, get over to the Caixa, bro. Let's find out what's going on with Jardel.
He was rubbing elbows with Luis Vitoria last week at the election.
There you go. So, I saw that.
Did Jardel go vote?
Yeah, he sure did. He went with Janos. Them two went together. So anyway, so the game at the Dragão, my feeling is that I don't anticipate Benfica changing much from what they've been doing, probably because there's not as much pressure to win. Believe me, Benfica would love to come out of there with the win, but I don't think there's a lot of pressure for Benfica to win if Benfica's built up a nice cushion. But, I would like to keep that cushion. The other thing is that I think that Benfica loses, and God forbid, and I hope that doesn't happen, I think that there's not really a big mental blowback, Steve.
Exactly why you have to go for their throat.
Yeah.
Especially
so even, you got nothing to lose, really. I mean, you got 3 points to lose, but still, it's not going to compromise your position on the table. I think that you go, you don't throw caution to the wind, but you go and play a natural game. I don't think you should be changing too much from your style, from your model to go play Porto. I think you just go in there, built on what the team has done up until this point, regardless of whether Cristiano says that we played scrubs so far, but you got to go in there with the momentum that you've picked up and with the processes that you solidified, and you go and play a good game at the Dragão.
A 4-point lead's better than a 2-point lead.
It sure is.
and Benfica doesn't have the pressure to win. Benfica aren't like you guys. They're in first regardless. Porto is the one that needs to come out and swinging. And Porto needs these 3 points more than Benfica does. So I think Steve made a great point. I know I'm sounding repetitive, but it's going to open up a lot of holes for the counterattacks.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting.
It sure will. Porto is still looking to have an identity. I mean, it's so obvious that their coach is on press conferences. He's drawing a picture of what a typical Porto player should be. I mean, if this is not something that shows us that this team is looking for an identity, this team, a lot of these players need to absorb some of that Porto. I don't know if they call it mística, but I guess mística is mística for everyone. But there's a lot of players out there that are, if he had to draw a picture, there's a lot of players that are not assimilating some of the ideas, and they don't understand what the culture is at the club yet. So I think that this is a very important game for Porto. They can't lose any more points. And as Steve said, they go down 8 points, and with as fragile as they've been throughout this beginning of the season, I mean, it could be a very, very hard blow for Porto. And I think that Benfica has to go all out. And as Steve said, get it to him.
O Benfica ganha este jogo.
Ganha?
Se o Benfica ganhar este jogo, já podem mandar vir as faixas.
Foda-se! Que é isso?
Early, dude.
Já podem mandar vir.
Estás maluco, man.
Já pode. Depois tem 2 jogos, depois tem um jogo contra. A única coisa é o Sporting.
Depois é só mancos.
Depois é só mancos.
Joga com o Porto, com o Sporting, e depois é só mancos.
Só mancos.
Foda-se, não digas
já
isso.
Já podem mandar vir, meu.
Não digas isso, man.
The only way you squander a 8-point lead or a 7-point lead is last year we had the example. Começam a mandar os foguetes antes da festa. And that's the one thing that we could all sit here
and that's what you just did.
No. That's not what I'm doing. That's not what I'm doing. I'm saying, podem mandar vir as faixas já. But the only way you squander it is if we start doing what a lot of other people did last year. And the one thing we've all sat here and praised Rui Vitoria about is that the guy's very grounded.
Yeah.
He makes it a game-by-game basis. And I could sit here myself and mandar all the forgets I want. I don't think it have any relevance on what goes on with it. Even though some of you guys on Twitter, I do appreciate you. I do appreciate you guys thinking I have a little bit of say in this because I criticize players and they turn it around. That got no influence on me. So I can sit here and talk all day. Rui Vitoria, though, like we've mentioned, great manager, the guy who keep everyone grounded. But I just find it hard to see Benfica blowing a 7 and 8 point lead with the way things have gone over the last year and then playing a bunch of monkeys. I think this is a game that Porto and everyone, Sporting, if these guys are in cahoots with each other, they're saying to each other, like, yo, you have to win this game this weekend. You can't let Benfica get away with the 3 point because, dude, it'll be very tough, man. That's why I'm excited for this because I don't recall. I know last year, I shouldn't say I don't recall. I remember last year when Benfica goes into Estadio da Luz, Benfica was up. I think it was like 8 points, if you guys recall. And they lose at home, and we're all like, this is the worst Porto we've seen in years. And Benfica still finds a way to lose against Porto. They're our boogie team. Benfica needs to figure this out, and they need to win this game. But again, if they walk away with a draw, it won't be a bad result.
No, it won't be. You wanna throw out a prediction?
Ainda estou a fazer as calculações.
Então, Steve, prediction, bro.
2-0 Benfica.
Foda-se!
No dragão?
Yeah.
Foda-se.
Máquina.
This guy
precisas mais tempo, okay?
Goes from being critical to watching him play a good
Steve
first
is
half
feeling
against
good.
Passos.
Steve is feeling good.
It's not that I really worry about André Silva, but I don't rate a lot of the rest of the team.
For me, it's a 1-1. Cristiano, ainda estás a pensar?
Eu quero dizer 1-1, mas eu vou ir com uma vitória do Glorioso lá fora no
5-0.
No Estádio do Ladrão. 2-1.
2-1?
2-1.
Tá bem. Pronto.
Golos do Tarap e do Luisao.
We got your questions here. We're gonna get to try to get to as many as possible. Hashtag Benfica podcast. There's also people mentioning us while asking questions. So we're gonna try to get to all these as many of them as possible. And I apologize if I stumble reading. I'm not a very good reader. I could tell you that much. I have the reading.
We need a girl to come on the podcast.
We do. We need a girl to stand behind us in a bikini It doesn't have to be a bikini. It could just be a Benfica jersey.
There went all our female listeners.
A Benfica jersey. It could be a girl with the Benfica jersey behind us.
I already have ADHD,
reading questions,
bro. I mean, I struggle to concentrate now.
But no, we should have that. A girl with the Benfica jersey reading questions where we could just ban to her.
Send in your resumes, lady.
That's right. I'm gonna try to do my my best here to get to some of these. A lot of these are just comments
what's
by you
someone
guys.
else's halftime reports? He's slacking.
Nelson's been busy. I've given him leave. Let's see. You wanna get one while I sift through some of these?
Let's start with our boy Kevin. I think it's Kevin. Yeah, Kevin, Nike V, Nike K.
Kevin backwards, dude.
It's Kevin backwards, Nivek.
Okay, Nivek. All right, Nivek, what's up, bro? How you doing over there in Montreal? Any update on Rafa and Jonas coming back?
You got it.
Rafa will be back in the next 2 weeks. Jonas will be back in the next 4 weeks.
Yeah, everybody will be back within 4 weeks, with the exception of Faisa, we don't know yet.
My man Mo, by the way, from the Benfica family, condolences, man. And it's been a pleasure to have you on with us. And anything you need, man, feel free to reach out. He has a comment. Tencio10 started bashing Pizzi. He turned it around. Then he bashed Guedes. And he's now playing better. He needs to get on Mitro and Samaris ASAP.
Samaris, yeah, for sure, Samaris.
Samaris now needs to replace, yeah.
Mitro, I'm not worried about.
I'll do my best. Mo, just for you, brother. Bye.
Yeah. Paul here, and I think this is perhaps the first time that Paul has watched this live. Says that he remembers watching Benfica versus Celtic live, and Enzo and Gaetan were on the bench, and Jesus shouted at them to get sped up, and you could tell they didn't like. He didn't like it. It was a meter away. He was a meter away from the incident. Yeah, I mean the way JJ spoke to players, I don't think anybody likes to be spoken that way.
You bring up Celtic. Did you guys know, a little trivia for you, did you guys know that my team beat Celtic 3-0? I spanked them Irishmen around on the field. I gave them a little ginga. This is back in like 1997, but that's besides the point. Keep going.
Mike D, when Jonas comes back, do you slowly bring him in off the bench due to get his play of late? This is a very interesting question, Mike. I think that Jonas' injury and what it was he developed fluid in the ankle that they operated in. So so I think that Jonas really hasn't been able to work as much as Benfica would have liked him, especially the cardio aspect because of the nature of the injury. It's hard for me to say that Jonas at this age is going to be a guy that as soon as he's healthy and he could play, he's going to go straight into to the starting 11. Very hard for me to even imagine that. But again, I'm not part of the Benfica lab. I'm not looking at these guys and examining these guys and taking test samples and taking saliva samples and taking these samples to figure out whether or not physically you're right. I think that Rui Vitoria, we spend all this time without him. I think Rui Vitoria should put him in slowly. I do agree that having Guedes is something that allows us to do that, but I just don't foresee Jonas being well on a Monday, and on Sunday he's playing from the start.
Absolutely. He might come off the game, maybe. He might come off the bench one game, I'd say. Even if he does. The guy will be straight back into the starting lineup, bro, ASAP.
Yeah, absolutely. What else we got?
We got like 50 questions.
We gotta
find one for Steve. Steve's all quiet.
No, we'll start from the beginning.
Steve, will Fedge's injury have the same impact result-wise for Sport Lisboa Benfica as Adrian had for os outros?
For the exact same reason that we said earlier about Rui Vitoria basically having faith in his players and not saying it's a system that works and not only Adrian knows the system and blah, 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 blah. I think Samaris will slot into that position. He will not be as good as Faisa has been because Samaris has not been as good as Faisa for a while now. But the results, especially against the Mancos, like Chris says, will not change that much. The Porto game is the big question. If the Porto game works out well, I think the rest of it will kind of way into place, because the real question, the real test is this week in the first game, into that difficult position, in a very high intensity atmosphere, a game that has a lot of weight outside of the 3 points that you could win in them. I think that's a bigger test than anything that we're going to see along the lines. And if we come out of that okay, we'll be okay for the rest of the time the face is injured.
Yeah. Here's one from Nelson, who is not doing the halftime lines, but halftime headlines, but he's asking questions. I love you, buddy. Do you think UEFA will retroactively implement a red card for the tackle on Fesa? Cristiano, I know you watch a lot of Champions League. What do you think?
No. Water under the bridge.
Yeah. Michael, MJM_83, who's actually watching us live for the first time in I don't know how many years. Guedes and Toto need to pass the ball more. Too many long shots. Need to pass to open guys and get Mitroglou involved. And I think this touches up on something that one of you guys mentioned about Jonas getting Mitroglou involved. I think that Mitroglou has a knack for getting Jonas has a knack to getting Mitroglou involved, and I think that Mitroglou benefits a lot from having a healthy Jonas, and that's not what we were doing. With the return of Raul, will Mitroglou have a spot in the starting 11 on Sunday? You want to take that, Cristiano? I know you love the Mexican.
Raul's been back for a while, and Mitroglou's been starting. So I think that Raul serves he's a better option off the bench than Mitroglou because of his pace, because of his style of play, because of his aggressiveness. I think if you had to bring one off the bench, I think it'd be Raul. So for now, I still keep Mitroglou in there.
Yeah, and we had talked about this last week. I actually brought up the point that with Mitroglou struggling to score, and being that a lot of these guys are judged on the goals that they score, and Jimenez being healthy, if there's a certain pressure that Mitroglou is feeling, and he's feeling that his leash perhaps is getting a little too short with Jimenez being available, I don't know. I think they're two different players, and I think depends on what Vitoria wants to do.
I wouldn't be surprised, though, if Vitoria would change that, because he is on the road.
He did that last year.
Exactly. He is on the road, and he gets to pressure, and so I think
Jimenez is Jimenez. It's definitely a good shout. Jimenez is a guy that works a lot defensively. And I think that if you have a Porto team that builds off the back, he'd probably be the guy to close people down. That question was from at Tuga_2.
Tuga.
I wonder if Tuga_1 was probably
taken. It was taken. A question for Steve. Steve, with the Porto game coming up, would you have Lindelof man marking André Silva at all times? I know you love.
Diz lá.
No, you don't. The days of man marking are out the window. When he's in his zone, Lindelof will always be picking him up because he has more pace than Luisao does. And when Luisao gets beat, Lindelof will be the cover, especially as I don't believe Samaris has that same knack of being the cover like Fesa does. So it will be Lindelof. I think, if anything, you're going to see Porto trying to force that most of André Silva's movements are towards Luisao's side and not Lindelof's side. But we'll keep an eye out for that. You can't man mark in this day and age. It doesn't work anymore. The game has evolved way too much that if you're following a guy around the pitch, you're leaving a space open that is too hard to plug up.
It's unfair to say this in this day and age. If you're like Steve and you believe in the Pep Guardiola style of play,
nobody man marks in open play.
Nobody man marks
in open play.
If you read the Jose Mourinho book, you can man mark. It depends on what coach. It depends on what coaching style you like.
Look, you can man mark a guy that comes into your sector in the area they respond. Estás a brincar? Mas eu estou. O está levanta a sério, está quase a chorar, não vejo?
Mas o Steve's a Pep Guardiola lover, and that's a fact. Pep Guardiola isn't a man mark. But Mourinho has man-marked himself. That's why I'm just throwing the jab out there. That depends on what coaching style and strategy you like. I have no problem with man-marking because I do think that you could actually take players out of a game.
Yeah.
So, whatever.
Here's another one from Paul. Will Rui Vitoria do a Jesus again and put Almeida like in Napoli, or will Samaris or even Danilo get a chance? I forgot all about Danilo. Samaris did get the nod in the Champions League because obviously Danilo can't play in the Champions League. So I wonder, Steve, what do you think? Samaris or Danilo?
Samaris.
Samaris is more a natural defensive midfielder than Danilo?
He's played defensive midfield more. He's been there longer with Rui Vitoria. It is a match that no matter who you throw in there is going to be a bit flat-footed, does not have the game rhythm that he needs to have. You can't throw a guy who's unfamiliar with his surroundings like Celis or Danilo. For me, if he puts Danilo or Celis instead of Samaris at the 6, he's inventing. Even Andre Almeida, he's inventing. And at this point, there's no need to invent. That's just one position you got to touch. Just make the easy choice.
Were you going to say something? You stood up for a second. I got
I was just
nervous.
stretching my legs. No, I was just stretching my legs. No, I actually.
Is your ankle bothering you?
Yeah, it is. I actually agree with Steve. I mean, on this, I think the unknown with Danilo right now, you can't throw him out there in a big game like this. You know what I mean? The guy's played one game at Benfica, a couple minutes here and there. We don't know about his defensive, tendencies. We don't know about his defensive responsibility. We don't know about his positioning. I think this is too big of a game and too important of a game to go out there and roll the dice and see what you got with him. So for that fact alone, I think Samaris, like Steve mentioned, is a smart choice and the easy choice to make. And then, as the game goes on, if you need to make a more attacking substitute, then we'll look at that. But for now, I think the easier way is just to insert Samaris.
Yeah, I think it's a straight swap. Like Steve says, não invente. Não me fodas, Vitoria.
Another one for Steve. Who's out of the players missing? Who's more important, Steve? Who's the player that's more important?
Feza or Jonas? Or Rafa?
Feza.
No. Yeah, it's easy. That's easy. Feza. Agree, Steve.
Feza has the least reliable replacements compared to, especially after what we've seen over the past few matches.
I'll simplify it for you, Steve. We've been missing Jonas and we haven't skipped a beat. So for that fact alone, I'll say Feza.
I'm with you on that. I think that Feza is very important for this team.
And Jonas is as well, but not against Monks.
Michael M. And he had a question before. He is watching us live for the first time in at least 4 years.
This podcast has been around for 4 years.
Not having the 6-hour time difference helps a lot.
2012.
6 hour? Where the hell is he at?
Está na Itália, se calhar. England is England.
No, guys, stop. England's the same thing as Portugal. Slow down.
That's 5.
Yeah, so now it's 4
Paris
though because of the time change. Yes,
Paris and Spain and
Spain from Spain on is 6. That's why I'm asking. Where's he at? It can't be England because
dude, he says he's in Boston.
Olha.
Michael, tweet at us, bro.
No, he probably moved back to Boston from somewhere else.
My man's delayed.
Michael, let us know where you are, dude.
It ain't Boston.
Mo, on a scale of 1 to 10, rank Luisao's leadership level these last few games after the Napoli 4 goals. I think that we're probably all up there. I think he's the biggest leader on this team. I don't think his leadership could be underevaluated. Luisao.
Dude, on a scale
1 to 10.
20.
Rank. Pronto, já está. Não digas mais nada. Let's see what else got. Mo agrees with you about Mitro with Jonas. We talked about it last week. Yep.
Are you guys surprised by Guedes? How Guedes has developed into a more mature, well-rounded player? We touched all that.
Yeah, I'm sorry that you guys are asking all these questions and we end up touching all these questions on the podcast. That's a good thing, right? And Daniel Infant watching us from all the way from Australia. When/if Jonas returns, who do you sit, Salvio or Guedes?
I got it.
Mitroglou.
There you go.
I got a very important question. This is for Jafost. Who's on the YouTube chat talking trash? Feed us in, bro.
Somebody's talking trash on the YouTube chat?
Let us know,
I didn't know there was a YouTube.
Let us know. We're going to get Pedgy on this right now. Let us know. We're going to get the hitman.
It's probably Rezinho.
Why you even say that kid's name? You giving this kid credibility?
Nah, he's no credibility. Bro.
Okay, voila. Let's go to John Hancock, just because I like his handle. Fry and 6. If when Benfica beat Besiktas, we clinch top 2, it means we could rest players against Napoli. No, man, you don't rest nobody because you want to get that first place. You want to try to get the first place so you can play a second place team from another group rather than the big sharks. Even though as things stand right now, you do have Real Madrid and a couple other teams in second place. So some big sharks in second place. So it all depends. But no resting. Bye, Steve. You resting? No resting.
I agree. No resting.
Oh, there's a Zia on the chat. I didn't know there was a chat. There's a chat.
I'm not even aware of it.
Well, this. I'm telling you went out of order, so I'm trying to prediction for the last Champions League games from Já Foste. I think that
the last 2.
Yeah.
1-0 na Turquia e 1-1 na Luz.
Contra Napoli.
So Benfica's winning in Turkey?
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
1-0.
PortugueseSoccer.com. Bruno Carvalho alleges that Benfica will secretly sponsor a candidate against him in the next election. Will CO10 be the candidate?
Não fazia mal, não.
Dude,
aquele clube não tem dinheiro. Eu cancelava as modalidades todas, mandava o Évora para trás para o Benfica. E depois só concentrava no roster.
Yeah, I think that he likes to talk because he likes to take some of the attention away from what they're doing. Já Foste saying Jardel is not injured. I've read that Benfica. Caralho. He's not match fit, and right now Vitoria is not willing to mess with the Louis Lin. Louis Lin.
Who's that? The point guard from the Brooklyn Nets?
Louis Lin.
Every freaking podcast we're talking about America.
Yeah, they're confusing me, Steve.
Guess this man. What is this? The Ball Breakers podcast?
They're confusing me. I don't know. Lin.
Louis Lin.
Who the hell
is Luisao?
It's like J-Lo.
You guys are way too advanced for me, bro.
Não estás a pensar. What else we got here?
Tá muito mais.
Rob Correa, looking ahead, do we lose anybody in January? I don't think we need to.
Solve you.
But if a good offer comes, sure, and it's for a winger, why not? Timu's watching us on his living room. You see that picture? That's nice.
Tio, máquina, pá.
Máquina Timo.
Timo ainda vai comprar umas bujecas lá em Portugal. Que só lixa.
Michael says, do you think Servi was moving in instead of wide against Kiev as part of the game plan? Maybe getting ready for Porto.
That's been the game plan all along. The wingers come inside to receive the ball from center backs, from number 8. That's nothing new, Mike.
Yeah, that's, if you think about it and you want to take a step back and really look at this when you're watching the game, the reason why Servi comes inside is to open up the flank for Grimaldo to get behind his back. And he also offers a target for the guys in the middle for the forward transition. How many PKs will Artur Soares Dias call against us? With Otavio and Corona, the numbers could be staggering. John Hancock, you're onto something, buddy. But they didn't call that penalty on Otavio against Tubal, so I don't know, dude. But yeah, the couple guys that are that could be main targets, and they could fake stuff. I just hope that it's a nice, clean game, and there's no cases, and nobody scores goals, offsides, us included. So, I mean, I hope that it's a fair game. And I think that in the past couple times that we played at the Dragão, the games have been pretty fair with nothing to say about the referees. But people always find something. Let's see what we got. Michael was in France. Now he's back in the U.S. He was in Paris. Now he's in Boston.
Follow.
That explains it.
Here's Andy Cryptic. Do you guys still believe in Carrillo? Because Servi is killing it. I agree with you. Servi is killing it. But as Cristiano mentioned here, the clausura or the apertura in Argentina finished.
I think he might have been wrong. But anyway,
What?
I looked it up. It finished in June.
Okay.
So
and he came in July.
You said May, Steve. You said May last time.
End of May. Sorry, end of May, beginning of June. So
yeah. So
he had a month off.
Yeah, that's the advantage that Servi has over the other guys is that he took a month off, even though the other guys were maybe 6 weeks off. He took a month off, but he probably kept working because he was coming to Europe. His period of adaptation has been very, very small, if you will. And he's a guy that's made an impact. We had this conversation here last week about Gaetan and Di Maria and Servi and what they've done in the first few months of their careers at Benfica, and we all thought that
Di Maria wrong. Di Maria was like 17, 18. Right. He just turned 18.
O gajo ainda estava de fraldas, man.
Ainda está muito verde, o gajo.
No, but as far as Salvio goes, not Salvio, Gaetan goes, he's definitely surpassed Gaetan for the beginning of Gaetan's career at Benfica. What else do we got? We got any more questions? Okay, we wrap this bad boy up. Steve is
John Hancock. I didn't bash him, bro. I'll never bash him.
Bash who?
I love
John
you,
Cock?
brother. Yeah, John Cock. Hancock.
No, you just did.
No, now I messed up. John Hancock. I love you, bro. I'll never bash your tweet. I just don't think it'd be a smart decision, especially at that stage, if you could clinch first place in the group to rest anybody.
Well, Cristiano has always been of the opinion that we are Benfica, and we should have the Benfica attitude regardless. He's also been a defender and a proponent of rather than resting guys, taking the game, get what's in front of you and don't think about what's ahead of that. Cristiano has always been a big supporter of that. So his thought process falls right in line with that. You want to make sure that you want to clinch first place, regardless of whether you could rest players or not. But why not go for first? I mean, you aren't seated number one.
Absolutely. Pot one, baby.
So you should go for, if you have the opportunity at home, in front of your friends, in front of a sold-out crowd, which most likely there will be a sold-out crowd against Napoli at Estadio da Luz when they play Napoli. You want to make sure that you do it for your fans because your fans have been there and supporting you all this time. You want to make sure you give some of that support that the fans have given to you in a way of a good game at Napoli and a win at home against Napoli. What else we got? That's it.
Cubs about to win the World Series.
Nice. Bro. There's going to be riots in Chicago tonight. Anyway, just before we go, November, it looks like this. Porto on the 6th. Then we got Maritimo at home on the 19th for the Portuguese Cup. Besiktas on the 23rd away in Turkey. And we finish up the month of November against Moreirense. So that is what we got ahead for Benfica. Anything else, Cristiano?
No, tá bom,
wrap this up?
Yeah,
okay, Steve's got to go to bed.
Steve's bedtime. Já passou, o Vitinho já tocou.
Anyway, thank you so much for checking us out. All the people that took the time to watch us live on YouTube, I hope we didn't disappoint. Pass the word. Tell all your friends that we know what we're doing here. So thank you guys for checking us out. We had a solid 30 viewers, anywhere from 30 to 35 viewers. So that was pretty nice. At 10CO10 is where you can find Cristiano on Twitter. At Steve Santos 6, don't forget the 6, is where you can find the chalkboard. At Benfica Podcast is the Twitter for the podcast. And at Talking to the Doll, which is me with the D being DA, is where you can find me on Twitter. BenficaPodcast.com. Our friends over at planetbenfica.co.uk. Who else do we need to send a shout out to?
Anyone listening right now is going to be at Red Bull Arena for the playoff game on Sunday. Red Bulls against Montreal Impact, leg 2. Hit me up. I'll be over there, so we could chat a little bit.
Yeah,
there's a possibility.
Do you think you're going to go to that game if Benfica loses against Porto?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You're not going to be in a bad mood?
Yeah, but I'll still go to the game.
All right.
I'm gonna try to get Steve on what's that Spreecast, so whatever it's called, the live app, so Steve can watch.
Anyway, thank you very much. Thank you very much for checking us out. Don't forget to subscribe to us. Periscope. Don't forget to check us out over at what the fuck was I gonna say?
Facebook.
Planet Hollywood.
Don't forget.
Hollywood.
Don't forget to check us out over at iTunes. Subscribe and rate us on iTunes, and also visit our page so on.
And represent. If anyone's talking trash about our feed on YouTube, yo, sick the dogs on them. Let's go.
All right, guys. Thank you very much again. We do this every Tuesday, so if you were here for the first time, tune in next Tuesday. Sometimes on Wednesday.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
But you can always catch our podcast on iTunes on the go. So if you're ironing some clothes or doing some dishes, you can always check our podcast out. If you're going out to walk the dog or something, or changing a diaper on a baby, whatever, you could take us in your ear and listen to us. Anyway, on your way to work, so on and so forth. Thank you very much. Again, see you again next week. We will have a huge recap of the Porto game for you, and we'll look at Benfica's next game. Thank you. See ya.